So this is going to be a bit of a random video, sort of trying to hand gen some algs, maybe just go over stuff, let's see. So, I don't know, I mean, with hand genning algs, you do see some people doing it, but I think the basic theory when you get to algs is, if we think about what Soon does, is all it is basically taking this pair out, moving it over here, and then putting it back in. So basically, why did I just go through this thing like that? Basically, take it, at least for OLLs and PLLs sort of thing, take a pair out and then put it back in a different way. So if I think of a slightly more complicated one, like, what is it? Trying to think of it. No, oh yeah, like this thing. That way, that's the way you take it out, and then it's like, you know, just a sexy move, and of course you can do 6 sexy moves in order to solve cubes. So I don't know, doing stuff like that, I remember doing a lot when I was first learning OLL, like way back when, 2010 and stuff. But yeah, of course, it's not just one pair you can take out, because if I think about this F term, you take 2. And another thing to consider is, of algs you already know, is cyclic shifts. Because if you think about it, well, not if you think about it, like a T-perm is very similar to a J-perm, but it's going to be hard to do this without any kind of paper, but one way to think about it is, if we do that setup move, and then we do a J-perm, what you find is that it cancels. It's kind of like that with the UBOL POC move everyone teaches, but we're not going to go into buffers for blind, you know. The setup move in that case cancels at the beginning and the end of the com. So that's something else to consider, because a J-perm is actually a cyclic shift of a Y-perm, because if you move those Fs around, because basically if you can think of a cyclic shift as, if you have the alg written out in notation, you take a move at the end and then put it at the beginning of the alg, and then if you do that with an F prime, it cancels to give that. So if we do that, that's the first 2 moves. So if we do R prime, F prime, we see we get this ZBLL, and that cancels the first 2 moves of the Y-perm and adds them at the end. So what was that? So it can end up being a bit different. So that's like a slight shift. But anyway, there was one thing I found by hand just randomly playing around. It does exist because it's just a standard thing. Because one thing to think about is with comms and 3-blind, you can actually use them for F2L and stuff. And I think some of them actually do some, could be actually pretty good. So like, yeah, that's not a good example. What is it? This case. That's a com. But of course, the intuitive way of thinking about it is, you do an F turn, which moves all of this stuff out of the way. You do it, and also, well, it doesn't move that stuff out of the way, it moves this like here. You do a D, and then that. I think that's better than just DF, because I'm not too sure. Yeah, that did something different. Um, so yeah. Yeah, what I'm trying to say. So yeah, basically, if we do that com, and now we solve this F12 pair kind of more normally, it gives us soon ZBL. Of course, this is the inverse. But yeah, because it's commonly thought that soons are pretty pointless to learn because you can just do the standard soon alg, which is so long. But I do think that maybe for some of the diag cases that those algs might be better, because if we look at this, that's 8 moves for a com, which is fast, and then you insert the F12 pair, which is and there's quite a lot of versions of that you can do that are pretty similar to each other. So let's do I did 2 different ones. I need to come up with something consistent. Okay. Let me think. We'll do yeah, so you've got a lot of options there where you could do UU prime, and that might actually make a difference. To the case. So there's a bunch of soon ZBLLs that are basically based off this basic A prime. So R prime D R U. So what's the inverse of that? There we go. So yeah, I'm just trying to think, because I know, was it like... Oh, I screwed up that dot OLL, I'll do it again. Because I know that with some of those OLLs and PLLs I see Jay posting, like some of those dot ones. Yeah, this is definitely a ramble. What is it? We'll just do... He found by hand, I think. I don't know about that one. But if we actually look at what's going on, it's... Or is it? It's just... Yeah. But if we think about the cyclic shifts again, like... I'm trying to think. We'll do this again, see what makes a difference. Do 2 more, because find out what sort of how many cycles this alg is, like 7, 8, whatever. That's 2. Sorry, so that's 6. No, what? Yeah, I think this is a good example, because I guess with the recognition you notice this block, but it's more interesting as the COLL case. It's this, which is yeah, that's the COLL I use on the 2x2, but of course that affects EO, which means it's a Fatsoon variant. Yeah, that's another thing. You can look at algs you learn from 2x2 CLL and see how they work, because those work well. So yeah, so this case, so what is that? There we go. And yeah, if we actually look at that alg, fast, that's real fast. Like you can subpoint for that really easy, and then it just ends in. I'm going to stop looking through the screen of my phone rather than this, because it's causing me to screw up. But yeah, I'll see if I actually find something. So if we actually do something com related again, because I feel like the thing about comms is that they affect the cube very like not very much, but I think you can use a standard F12 insert. I'm trying to think of a slightly more different, because I do wonder with, I wish I had more 3x3s here, but due to like moving recently and stuff, it's not accessible, and the whole lockdown with the whole coronavirus stuff. But still, fortunately, we're, well, at least in New Zealand, stage 4, which is the worst, is, you know, essential service are the only things that are opening, but then it's moving on to slightly less severe. You're allowed to expand your bubble slightly, and non-essential businesses are allowed to start opening as long as they, like, I think the only things still have to shut are like restaurants and things, well, if you're not taking away. But enough about that, which dates the video. I don't know, like, something like that I think is only good for multi-slotting F12, not OLL. Let me think. Here's an example one. Thing about doing that though is you find that you need the inverse and not that. So yeah. And these are probably things people already know about, but I think playing around and finding it for yourself can actually be kind of useful. So yeah, in terms of the cyclic shifts, that's the alg I use for 2-flip, which is basically 2 comms in a row. So this comm, but then it cancels into the standard, you know, 4-mover. And that is actually a cyclic shift of it. Because the thing you can sort of think about with how cyclic shifts affect the cube is if we do a standard J term, everyone knows what that does to a cube. If we do an R prime, got to remember to undo it at the end. What we can see is a way that we can, you know, that's how we can visualize what it does to a cube. So for example, well, we know that, so yeah, we do a setup for it to where we start the alg and then we see, oh, that actually does have an effect. So that's the first 3 moves. Now we do the first 4 moves, which, if you notice, is how T-perm works. Because, yeah, this is how you can do it. This is how to do a T-perm by setting up to a J-perm. F, which sets this here, and the pieces here. Okay, so we'll just focus on this bar. So it goes like that, which moves this here and pairs these up. And we can see yeah. So from that, and then if we cancel that, we get this. So that is how you get a T-perm from a J-perm, and you could do it the other way around as well, but yeah. So now we know that. If we want to check what the next move does, we basically want to do an R prime again. But then we know from experience that we sort of need to trace where the pieces go for that, and that's what's that, which, you know, I feel like they're not that useful. Of course, can go the other way. Jeez, this video is so rambly and unorganised and really doesn't have a point. But still, more for playing around with the cube. So, what? Let's do some sort of. So, That was a bit different. I don't know if you saw what I did there, but I did like a 2-move setup sort of thing and did a com, did an RU prom, R prom, and did a com that would move around some corners. Yeah, that's more useful for comms and not... Yeah, see, I did a conjugate there. And then that's just basically... can be done like that. Or... And I mean, I think that first alg's a lot faster. That's useful for blind. And I definitely think... See, this is a soon case, and I mean... That's a lot faster than... And it's inverse, they're very similar speeds. It's a lot faster than... I mean, that actually isn't too bad, though, to be honest. For no, because it cancels. Yeah, that JPEM actually does cancel in the soon. But the thing is that I think if you were to properly learn soon ZBLLs, you would definitely go for that, because that's 10 moves. As opposed to, you know, it's like 21 moves, and with a cancellation, that's only what, like 14? It's a 4-move difference. But the thing is that, like, when you look at blind people, people always use comms. I don't know. I mean, their comms a bit. So I mean, I don't know. I don't really know any ZBLLs, whatever you want to call them. People get so pissed off hearing Z. It's yeah. Because another thing to think about is a lot of these aren't actually affecting EO. Because of course, if you want to do other algs, you need to add an F turns. Because of course that takes it out and then that puts it in, but of course you introduce F turns, so that means you affect the EO, which therefore means obviously this is dealing with such simple insertions and stuff. I mean, the thing is you could take this edge out, you could take this out, you could go and there you got a basic alg, which I don't know, is that any good? Because that's the other thing. No, that alg is absolute crap. But that shows you how to do something. I think finding fast algs here, I think this is where people that know a lot of algs can be quite useful to do stuff. Because of course, here's the thing. That does this solo. But the thing is, if you do that again, you get the ZBLL. So it's like, for this, well, that's salsa solo. See, that's an alternative rather than what I used to use. But yeah, you do a U2 and it actually, you know, and yeah, that's a slightly more complicated, that's a conjugate. So yeah, that is a slightly more complicated way of F12 so it affects 2 rather than just 1. So if we I think tweaking small things from existing algs is the best way. Because yeah, Like F12 is different. F12 you can kind of do intuitively because, you know. But I do wonder, like, because yeah, with F12 you're not so limited. You can do fancy things like that. As long as I'm not looking at the cube and then I mix up which slot people should go in. But yeah, let's do. What can one do with some of that? I'll do it this way. Because I know there's all that. If. Oh, that has to be flipped. Yeah, I don't know. That's just trying to. I don't know. See, there's something you can do in solo cells. Play around under that F, U prime, R prime type stuff. Oh, here's something interesting. Let's see if we can solve this in a more efficient way, because there's so many blocks. What is it? It's a 2 twist and a 2E2E. So yeah, because then you get stuff like winter variation. So you see that just goes into a soon. But something like that also goes into a soon. That goes into that. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think this is giving any ideas. I mean, this video is probably no one's going to watch much of. Maybe someone will put a comment if you get to this point. This is the most disorganised and rambly video I've done. I mean, maybe this won't just do some things. It's just, you know. Take another alg and, you know, manipulate it, see where it goes. I see something like this. How does this work? Like so. And of course the E perm is just. Oh, hang on, I did that from the wrong orientation, didn't I? E perm is just 2 comms. Is this com? And followed by whatever, because comms, two C2 can be solved with 2 comms. Let's do a slow solve, see if I do something fancy during F12. Oh, so I can do. See if I can figure out something fancy. I mean, I'm not very good with F12. I need to improve. Because it's kind of like, oh, actually, no, this actually does think of a good case, because when I do R prime U2R, that's going to be. Actually, I can just do this blind, because R prime U prime R, and then it'll be a pair like this, which is obvious. But then, hang on, oh no, it's going to be triple sexy, isn't it? Oh no, it'll be a pair here. Oh no, I get mixed up with CO and EO. See, playing around with the EO is something one can do. It's just... And that could help find something with some fancy inserts. Because how would one go about trying to get EO? Because these two are flipped. Oh, if you move the position, so if we get the pair like here, can insert and that will flip too, so this will be flipped and this edge will be in the solve position. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to do, I'm just completely losing position. Right, I'm going to do more style comms, because comms are simple, you know, after sort of learning 3 style corners you do pick up quite a few. So yeah, let's just sort of explore. Because that's another thing you can do, is 2 algs in a row that are fast. But the thing is that I don't think it really works unless they're fast, because I'm trying to think of something, because I used to use that for these cases, like in the mirror, it's like fat, sexy F prime, and that was recently until, there was a video Jay posted about you learn proper .ol algebra, them so they're all pretty decent, and then practice and don't do any EO avoidance, like, sledgehammer or any edges, unless like that is as fast as doing, people do seem to have a real hatred for these .olrs, and I did the alg earlier, like what was that, that was 12 moves? No, 13 moves, and it's kind of awkward compared to Thing is you can do 2 algs in a row and they could cancel. For example, I think. Oh, fuck. Why am I doing this a long way around? I should have done the inverse. Yeah, so. I mean, you can do this as just Nicholas, which is the fastest way to do this, maybe. It's 8 moves. But then you can just go directly into a J-perm. But the thing is, 8 moves, it starts questioning what's a better alg. Because 8 moves is a lot longer. Still. Oh, hang on. Here's something you can do. Then that just leads to a shittier version of fat soon. Yeah, what's the thing? Oh yeah, adding a move in somewhere and then cyclic shifting is something you could do, because Y perm's kind of derived from that, from a J perm. Then you need to have an understanding of why that does that. I don't know. It's just easier to learn algs and then manipulate them to find others a bit. But then having too many similar algs can be kind of annoying, because I found that for this OLL, oh god, I'm mixing them up. It's just like, one move difference. It's like, with this thing, it's like, you do the setup, which is the same, and then you do fat R prime, And you can have 3 different algs with that as a difference, where the only difference is that, and that. It's just one move. And it makes 3 different things. I mean, I can play them soon, because I think a lot of algs that are derived, it's like 2 soons in a row, but that's because they're so fast. Like, it does a Z perm and pure 2 twist, and that's just, and therefore for the Z case you can be like, yeah, I don't know, I think I'm losing the point of this. This is more just like annoying, but still, if we do, yeah, see, that gives something. I think there are quite a lot of soon cases that can be derived of yeah, is this going to be what the case is? Yeah, I don't know, I don't know for sure not. People might not have properly explored the soon sets for ZPLL, because they just assume it's better to do soon PLL, which I think quite a few cases it probably would be the best case, but it's quite a large set where Another good thing about maybe combining 2 short triggers of algs you're familiar with is that finger tricks and speed could be quite fast. Yeah, what's I think I might just leave the start of this. I screwed that up. I did it right the first time. But yeah, see, something like that can be awkward. Let's see if we can do something with 2 different slice moves. It's like, if we want to add in E moves to some sort of we need to get U pieces in the E layer. which can be done like that, but then let's just say you want to get this, something like this, because then we only have one. But then this is kind of setting up to a com, so what kind of L could I do? Yeah, that really doesn't work. I think, see, you can see how if you know a lot of algs you get a suit, and there's some, I think this is definitely proves this is a skill, which is, quite a different skill to just solving, finding algs. And I think knowing a lot of them helps. Because, and actually learning them so that you know what they actually do. Because, that's not really dots, but yeah. Because this does this sort of setup, which is different. But, which I guess is why it's more useful to learn algs in a way such that you know them really well inside and out. If someone gave you a cube, you'd be able to finish the alg, see if anyone can figure out what this is. Guess the most common thing would to be like that, but then you'll be like, oh yeah, there's a thing to notice. T perm. After the R2, it's like U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R prime, F prime, which for the first part of the Y perm, all this, a lot of people tend to use. Well, as people know, the standard Y perm is just, that's one alg, and that's, this alg, because there's two pretty fast ones. There's the, which I tend to use, and then there's, which is the first half of the Y perm. Man, this thing is just long. So just, oh god. Let's just try one last creative thing. Because you can do really long and bad things, but what about better things? So, I think one of the things when I'm doing this to think about is if you take something out, you gotta think what's in the U layer, I guess. Or at least you gotta think about whatever layer's in. Because if you're gonna do something like, let's just do the through rough. What pieces actually are affected? That's another thing to think about. And if you look at it, it's everything but this. Because of course, but then you're setting up to affect those. Because if you look at what pieces are affected in a sexy move, it's of course that's a basic way. Because if you track the pair, it's, now that's what some people do to learn algs. They track what F2L is doing. So let's just do one last thing. That's something bad. Yeah, I don't know. But playing around with a lot of cyclic shifts could be interesting, but that's more something to do in our own time rather than like a half-hour long video that's rambly and probably real boring and no one's going to watch much of. But I feel like I should upload a video, and this is the best idea I've got. Well, in my limited situation. I don't really want to have to edit. And yeah. But I think there's a few interesting points you could pick up from this, but that's it. Yeah.